Welcome back to the 20th Annual World Series of Poker. I'm Chris Marlowe. Just two players remain. Johnny Chan in a heads-up situation against Phil Hellmuth Jr. We talked to both about their strategy.
No strategy really in particular. You know, we're playing for about $450,000. I just want to try to play my best poker and win the match. I'm treating him as I'd treat anybody else heads up. A little more respect for him than perhaps anybody else I'd play, but I basically am treating it the same way.
He's pretty aggressive. Let's see how he plays first, and then I'll pick it up from there.
You haven't lost your confidence, have you?
Not at all.
The World Series of Poker Championship riding on one card. $750,000 to the winner. And there it is. Hellmuth wins the championship. So Phil gets the money, the gold bracelet. But perhaps best of all, he has the knowledge that he beat one of the all-time greats, Johnny Chan. With me now, the new World Series of Poker champion, Phil Hellmuth. And Phil, what was going through your mind in that last hand?
Well, I knew I was a 2-to-1 favorite. I was just praying. I was just praying that he didn't. You know, we're playing $1,200,000 pot there. But even if he wins it, I still have $500,000 in chips left. So I'm not going to be out of it, but it's a real good opportunity to knock someone out of the tournament right there.
Were you surprised when Johnny went all in to call you?
I was surprised when he rolled over ace-7 of spades, because I thought that he'd have something a little bigger than that. I didn't think I'd be a 2-to-1 favorite. I thought maybe he had ace-king or something, in which case it'd be about even money. But, hey, it feels great.
The new champ, Phil Hellmuth. So Phil Hellmuth Jr. at 24 years of age becomes the youngest player ever to win the World Series of Poker. He does it by winning the last hand, a record pot of $1,250,000. That's it from Binion's in Las Vegas. I'm Chris Marlowe. So long.
For the Player of the Year, I basically locked up the lead right now going into the final event, and that's been my goal the entire month. Yes! I love playing all the games. I'm not just a Nolan the Golden player, and I pride myself on being able to play all the games well. It's a true test of overall skill and overall ability. Anybody can win one tournament, but to be the guy who has the best overall month, now that's an accomplishment. My turn! I was asked the question, how much money would it take for you to quit poker for life? I can't come up with a number. I mean, if you said for life. It's something I really love to do, I'm good at, I love competition. I wanted to be a hockey player, basketball player, too short for the NBA, too skinny for the NHL. I'm left with poker, this is all I got. Let's use this.
Well, some things never change, and with that, we are here. He is Brent Hanks. I am Jeff Platt. This is No Gamble, No Future. How about that? Old school Phil Hellmuth. That was fantastic.
I think
the
my
winner
favorite
of the
part
main.
is how he said he doesn't have a strategy.
Yeah.
He literally still doesn't have a strategy. At least we can't figure out what that strategy is other than white magic, Jeff.
A little bit of white magic. We will see if Daniel Negreanu can counter that white magic in the correct way. No better person to talk to than, well, his coach and just an all-around cash game killer. That would be MJ Gonzalez. MJ will join us coming up here in a couple of minutes. He'll share his thoughts on High Stakes Duel 2, and he might have a couple of call-outs on his own, maybe for a decent amount of money, you would say?
Oh, my goodness. I know what's going on here. I mean, we're going to let MJ talk about this, but let me tell you, Jeff, potentially the largest heads-up cash game ever.
Oh,
ever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sounds
so anyway,
good
stay
to me.
tuned. We got MJ Gonzalez.
Yeah,
he
there
is
he
the
is.
mystery man himself. My favorite part about this dude, check out the arm sleeve tattoos.
Yeah, that's
right. Look at this guy.
Kind of a badass.
He is a badass. The next Tom Dwan. Really?
I'm also curious about hybrid poker. I've heard some rumblings, some whisperings about hybrid poker.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah, how is this
Perhaps
any
we'll
different
dive
than
in.
all of the other 15 million training sites that are out there?
Are there
right?
training sites out there?
Oh my
right now?
God! It's everywhere you look. Training site. It's kind of like all these poker podcasts. They're everywhere.
Yep.
Everyone's got one. We've
Yep,
got one.
yep.
I've got two. I mean, it's just who doesn't have a podcast these days? It's everybody.
Good point.
Yeah.
Also coming up, we will get High Stakes Duel 2 predictions from Maria Ho, from Brad Owen, from Matt Berkey. We will, of course, as we do every single week, check in with both Uncle Ron and Cousin Kristen.
Oh.
It's your cousin.
Oh.
Yeah. It's seen a video preview. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Make sure to like and to subscribe. It's pretty easy to like and to subscribe. You just click the thumbs up button.
That's it.
Right there on YouTube.
Please.
Bang.
Yeah.
You're in. You're subscribed. You're in the mix. You're getting notifications. And also, Brent, did you know that we have a Facebook page?
We do have a Facebook page, Jeff, and no one is following us on Facebook. So
Well,
maybe we
I
could
wasn't.
change that.
Yeah.
Go over to Facebook, follow us. It's like my dad and his friends and the people we work with. There's nobody else there.
Yeah, Dave Hanks loves
loves
the
it.
Facebook.
Loves
the
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. So again, pretty easy. Just go to our page. Just click like. It helps us out, and we certainly appreciate it. But Brent, we wanted to start the show with a High Stakes Duel 2 prediction with some overall thoughts from a player who certainly knows Daniel Negreanu well, and he definitely knows Phil Hellmuth well. Let us hear from Doug Polk right
Hit
here,
it,
right now
baby.
on
Let's
No
do
Gamble,
it.
No Future.
Let's do it.
High Stakes Duel 2, Daniel versus Phil. Who's the better player? I think overall they both have their pros and cons. Obviously, Daniel is a much better mixed game player, I would say, even though Phil does have a few bracelets in these different events. He's played a lot more of the high stakes cash version, so I'd have to give him the nod. In huge field tournaments, I guess I'd probably take Phil Hellmuth. Somehow, despite seemingly doing weird things that do not make sense, he does manage to put up good results there. So I guess I'd maybe tip my cap towards Phil. But we're talking about the arena of Heads Up No Limit. I've played both of them. I played Phil in a live Heads Up tournament, and I played Daniel Negreanu in our recent challenge. My take that Daniel Negreanu will have a substantial edge here. In fact, a lot of the things that Phil seems to like to do don't make sense at all in any way. And that's not to take away from Daniel. He's come a long way in his Heads Up No Limit game, but Phil's going to do stuff like limp most his buttons, or maybe not really re-raise pre-flop, or possibly lead, or maybe min-raise, or basically all of the things that you learn in Poker 101, never do this dumb shit. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes.
Yep.
I hope so.
Go ahead.
I don't think Phil Hellmuth is disrespected. I think he gets probably more than his fair share of respect. Now look, Phil has won the most World Series of Poker bracelets. He'll be the first one to tell you that. And that's definitely an impressive feat. But he's probably played the most, if not one of the most of these events ever, and he also played when a lot of the fields were smaller. Now that's not to say he hasn't done well since they expanded those fields. He's done phenomenal in these bigger field events, and somehow he has this capacity to make a deep run and take down events that you really wouldn't see coming from someone that does seem to lack a lot of the fundamental mechanics that you need to, in my opinion, succeed at high stakes today. But the question is, do you think Phil Hellmuth is disrespected? I would say no. I mean, we look at some of the things he does. He shows up late to tournaments all the time, even when people have bought action of him. He's constantly tweeting about something that he did and name-dropping all over the place. It's kind of a hard look. But at the same time, he does have a very long history of succeeding at poker, and I think that the world recognizes that, unfortunately, whether they want to or not. If Daniel Negreanu loses to Phil Hellmuth, how does this affect Negreanu's legacy? I don't think that there is a lot of legacy to be won or lost here. I think that in this match, it's simply one match that they're playing. It's not going to be a ton of hands, so really, it could go either way. Absolutely, Phil Hellmuth could win this. It's not likely, though, but he could win this, you know? In this short format where you're playing live poker, realistically, anything can happen. However, I do think it would be a bit of a blow for Negronu. He has really staked his claim into the live arena versus Phil Hellmuth here in this heads-up match, saying that he's going to beat him. I mean, I don't know if he said that, but I think he has, and he probably thinks it. And he probably should beat him. He should beat him. That or white magic comes through. White magic, doing the impossible, doing the illogical, doing the losing, but yet winning. I don't know where I'm going with my answer here, but I have said a lot of words. Hopefully, we have a good response in there somewhere. Cliff notes, it would be another jab to Negrenu's legacy, but not an uppercut, not something that he can't walk away from, with his head held low, quite low, because there's going to be some gloating. Phil's not one of those guys to take a victory with modesty. Is it fair to say that the winner of this matchup determines who's the most iconic player of all time? What the fuck kind of question is that? I mean,
stupid question.
how can we say that question? Not going to throw a shout out to your boy, Doug. No, I'm just kidding. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. The reality is, this is a heads-up sit-and-go with debatably not even the most iconic players ever. I mean, certainly Phil Ivey has to get some kind of consideration. Doyle Brunson, we're going to throw that to the wayside. We're just going to throw everything all in on this one heads-up sit-and-go? Okay. I guess that makes sense. Why are people interested in watching this particular matchup? Because it is a clash of styles. We've got the old school, come new school with Daniel Negreanu. He came up back in the day. Now he's got some new tricks up his sleeves. He knows what the kids are doing. He's seen the simulations. And he has to merge that together with some of his exploitative play.
We lost audio entirely.
And then you have Phil Hellmuth, Mr. White Magic himself,
Still going? Okay, we just
doing, I guess, magic or whatever the hell that entails. It's something you're going to want to see. I wouldn't recommend it at home because it isn't very good, but he's going to do it, and you have to stay tuned. You have to see what will that magic be. Frankly, I'm expecting a lot of small pots and not barreling the river, like every good magician does. Well, other than Antonio. He likes barreling the river. A bit too much, but I get it. I've been there myself. Prediction time. Who's going to win? I'm going to have to go after having played 25,000 hands against the man Daniel Negreanu. He's got the fundamentals now. He's got the balanced ranges. Frankly, he played quite good in our match. His stats were surprisingly good by the end of it. So I'm going to have to take Daniel. Also, the thing about Daniel that gives him the edge is he's willing to admit when he's wrong occasionally. Well, at least sometimes. Is there actually a record of that happening? I'm not sure. But the point is he knows that new school poker is going to take down the win. And he's been practicing that style. Phil still thinks he's right. Computers can create whatever they want. Math can show whatever it wants. The record can show. The logic can stand. It can be a solved game. And on his last breaths, Phil Hellmuth will say, what about white magic, though? You got to factor that into your computer equation. Thanks, Phil. And the computers have yet to factor in the white magic. One can only imagine how that would change the simulations. Time will tell there if it ever does. But the point is he refuses to embrace the new style of poker that is correct. Not an opinion piece. It's correct. So we have one man trying to play correct and one man actively trying to not play correctly. Not exactly a tough decision to make.
I like it.
There it is.
I like
there
it.
It is.
I love it. Apologies for the sound at the beginning. Producer Aiden got that fixed. Sounded perfect. Towards the end, we'll also put Doug's thoughts completely up on YouTube. What did you, Brent, think of what Doug had to say?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's just beating the nail over the head here, and it's Phil Hellmuth continues time and time again. We saw it on last week's show. He doesn't really credit the solvers. He doesn't really credit the hard work that it takes to continue to craft your game. The top of the show, the cold open, he didn't even have a strategy when he played Johnny Chan. I mean, just straight up said that. He just went out there, used his, at the time, his 24-year-old white magic, and he took down Chan to win the title. Well, he's done it 14 times since. So whatever he's doing, is working along the way. I just, eventually it's going to catch up to you. You have to work hard. You have to work away from the table. And I think that's what Doug is suggesting and why Daniel has to be a big favorite.
All right, predictions coming up from Matt Berkey, Maria Ho, Brad Owen as well. We want to say hi to you all in the YouTube chat on our still brand new, I think, No Gamble, No Future YouTube channel. Hello to Jim, to Alex, to Christian Soto of Solve for Why fame, to Stefan, to Wisco Barron, to Tony, to Jason, to Callan, to Jess. Thank you all so much for being here. We very much appreciate it. Time now to bring in very special guest today, a very relevant guest as far as the heads-up, high-stakes, no-limit hold'em scene is concerned. He is, again, the co-founder of Hybrid Poker. He is a cash game superstar. He is Daniel Negreanu's coach. It's MJ Gonzalez. MJ, welcome in to No Gamble, No Future. How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm doing great.
Oh, it is so good to have you.
I don't know how relevant I am in the high-stakes heads-up scene yet, but the plan is to change that.
Okay, well,
Really?
let's get right to that. So a couple things we have to hit. We want to hit any challenges that you want to get involved in. We want to hit the upcoming High Stakes Duel 2 featuring Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu. But first, I want to get your thoughts on High Stakes Feud. We've said it a bunch of times just throughout this very show. You were Daniel Negreanu's coach throughout his 25,000 hands challenge with Doug Polk. And so how do you look back on that challenge overall?
Yeah, I'm one of the coaches. We had another coach as well, my partner, Matthew Boyd.
Yeah.
And we have no regrets how we approached and how we executed the strategies. You know, when Daniel first came to us, he hasn't played a hand of no limit heads up hold'em. Like, it just hasn't happened.
Right.
He's primarily a tournament and mixed game cash player, etc. So when we first started with him, it was raw. And I mean incredibly raw. It's easy when you're coaching or trying to teach somebody something where they have like a blank canvas, right? And there's kind of an unmolded piece of clay, and they don't have all these perceptions and patterns and, you know, bad habits and good habits, etc. that like really drive their thought process. So you have to like really break them down, because it's a completely different game. There's just different fundamentals, there's different heuristics, and there's just different mechanics of the game entirely. So we went in, and Daniel and I played hours a day for a couple weeks, and we really broke down his game tree and started to teach him, like, no, this is how this game functions. This is what you're supposed to be doing. There's not going to be many donks on the flop, and if any, and heads up hold'em, and kind of going through the process of teaching someone a completely new game. And I will say, he impressed the shit out of us in every way a human can impress somebody in regards to evolving and learning and kind of setting aside his own biases and, you know, theories, etc. And I mean, he did something that will forever be impressive to me.
MJ, let me ask you a little bit about hybrid poker. I mean, this is we've got training sites everywhere right now, right? I mean, everywhere you look, someone's got a site that they're running. What is it about hybrid poker? What is it that attracted Daniel Negreanu to work with you and Matt? Can you give us a little insight as to how hybrid poker is going to separate itself from every other training site that's out there?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of good training sites, and then there's a lot of not good training sites. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to take the best of all worlds. And effectively, what we created is an accelerated learning tool. We have an AI progressive guided learning system that you play in our software, and it tells you exactly where your mistakes are across the entire game tree for no limit, six max, and full ring cash games. And so, for example, if you're having troubles on the turn, facing bets or betting yourself, or facing overbets or check raises, etc., it's going to put you in that exact situation until you get a high enough score to continue and progress. So what's going to happen is you play on our software. It examines your entire game tree of all the nodes across the board. And so if your opening sucks, it's going to tell you that your opening sucks. If your continuation betting on certain textures is not good, or your frequencies are incorrect, or you're not constructing your ranges appropriately, we're going to pinpoint literally everything. And it's going to teach you, the AI system will teach you automatically where your weakest points and your best points are. And it's designed to take you through the most efficient journey you can to learn the game of heads up, six max, full ring. You know, the day of books and videos, they're just over.
Wow.
You know,
when is it coming out, man? I mean, this is exciting. Do you guys have a launch date?
Yeah, so we're looking to launch around 6 months.
And is it a product, MJ, that is accessible, or you think relevant to more of the everyday, like the everyman player, like that kind of small stakes, maybe mid stakes tournament player? Or do you see this as just being a product that will help out high stakes players?
Everyone from the entire spectrum. From the very beginner, I play once a month at my local casino tournament, to I play professionally. I play 25, 50 online, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can go as deep as the client wants to go.
A couple questions in the chat, MJ, about what you said about High Stakes Feud. I'm going to kind of sum them up all in one. If a 25,000 hand challenge started tomorrow with Daniel Negreanu and Doug Polk, where do you see the kind of the odds lying in that kind of a challenge? So if you can quantify it in any form whatsoever, how much did Daniel Negreanu improve from the beginning to the end and where he is right now in his game?
Well, as far as progression is concerned, it's not even close. It's 20,000%. I think people really underestimate how different no limit heads up hold'em is compared to full ring or even six max, or quite frankly even three-handed. It's a little closer than, but it's just a completely different monster. So the difference in skill right now has been really compressed, and so Doug would still be a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I'm not taking anything away from him. Specifically about Doug, like, you have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, the fucking guy came in. I can cuss, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Green light.
The fucking guy took 2 years off and spent 3 months getting back to quite literally an elite level.
Yeah.
Not many people, if anybody, can do that in that time frame. And Daniel and Doug, they both share that in common. Yes, Doug is further along that journey, of course. But Daniel has that unique skill too. From where he started to where he is now, it's just a completely different human. I truly agree with what Doug Polk said. He said that he would take Daniel against any non-elite heads-up no-limit hold'em player. I feel the exact same. Now, if Daniel started the match today with the skill set he has today, and we had the opportunity to continue to work with him, I would say the skill gap definitely shrinks. Doug would still probably be a favorite. I don't know how big. Variance is definitely going to play a part in heads-up hold'em. And there's a fundamental truth that the poker community doesn't seem to fully grasp yet, is how deep variance actually can go and what true variance actually looks like. Like, for example, if you and me played heads up no limit hold'em hanks, and we were both break even as far as skill work was concerned, and we played 1 million hands of heads up hold'em, it is not outrageous for me to go on an 80 buy-in downer. Now, if anybody in the poker community saw me go on an 80 buy-in downer, they would say that I'm a huge dog, I'm a fish, I'm not competing at the level that my opponent is. But that's just variance. We're still break even.
That makes sense. I mean, listen, we're not really break even. You would destroy me. And let's keep talking about you and sort of where you came from.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said that you haven't really heard of me, and quite frankly, or my partner, that was by design.
Yeah.
I primarily played in private games, and my partner was a limit hold'em player 5 years ago, and I was a low stakes, 5-5, 5-10 reg 5 years ago. Like, that's just is what it is. And then when we actually met on Live at the Bike, and we were both doing commentating, and I was coaching students and he was coaching students, and we both had to what seemed to be like the piece of the puzzle that we needed to fit together to have like the ultimate product as far as what we were concerned. And so within 24 hours of meeting each other at Live at the Bike, we had a full business plan and model ready to go. And we just worked every single day, 8 to 10 hours a day after we would commentate until 5 a.m. just working on our product. But yeah, I was in the private scene primarily. And when we developed the product that we actually thought was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is what we feel is missing. We started to work with some high-end clients. Daniel's one of them, and Bill Perkins is another. And when we started working with Bill Perkins, it was like everyone kind of like sat us down and we were like, you need to keep this private. I mean, what you guys have is amazing. And we were like, yeah, I mean, we like the information. Like, let's get it out. Let's be known. Let's start a business. And they were like, no. What? You're gonna fuck up your spot and all the private scenes that you worked for years to get into. I mean, because I worked my way up from the low stakes or the mid stakes playing live in casinos to playing 3,200, 6,400 in private games with celebrities.
You're talking no limit, 3,200, 6,400. How much money have you had in front of you at one time at some of these private games, if that's something you can put out there?
I mean, a lot.
Just, I mean, I don't know, humor me, like more than 5 million in front of you?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
How about 3 million? Because rumor has it, I'm going to keep going, and here's why, and he knows where I'm going. Rumor has it you are going to have $3 million in front of you in a heads-up cash game. Is this going to be the largest game, really, that you've ever played with that much money in front of you? And can you give us any details about this match that's right around the corner?
I mean, it's a giant game. It is absolutely a giant game. And it's going to be against Victor, right? Yeah. And so Victor went on a podcast with Joey Ingram. Shout out to Joey. And effectively was like, I'm the world's best. No one works harder than me. No one can outplay me. Like, my GTO theory knowledge is just unmatched. And no one really said anything. And so, especially nobody in America. Mm-hmm. I think that's the kind of key point here.
Yeah, we say Victor. This is, of course, Victor Malinowski, online phenom known as Limitless. Yeah, so for everyone out there in the chat, if you're not familiar, he is one of the best, if not the best, I don't know, high-stakes cash games players, MJ? Is that fair?
Well, so he is arguably the best 6-max and 3- and 4-handed online player going right now. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's definitely in the top 5. Do I feel that to be true with his heads-up game? No, I don't, and this is why you're seeing me take on this match.
And how much are you going to play for?
We're going to play for $3 million each, and actually it's going to be quite higher stakes than that for him rather than me. As you can see, I'm fully tattooed up, etc. The loser of this match has to get the amount lost tattooed on them.
Anywhere on the body?
Yeah, anywhere on the body. Has to get the full amount lost, $ and everything. And it's a minimum of $3 million to quit. You can't quit unless you lose $3 million. And yeah, that's the structure of the game, cash game.
Oh my God! So heads up cash game, $3 million each, and what are the blinds?
We're gonna play 1,000, 2,000. Knowing Victor, he's gonna want to play 2,000, 4,000.
Dear Lord.
I suspect any stakes that we play, he's going to straddle, and then there's going to be that dynamic going on. So, I mean, it's going to be a very, very big game. I think from what you were saying, it would be the biggest heads-up match ever televised.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
so that led me to my next question,
yeah.
And I know, Brent, you were probably getting at this as well. Do you plan to play this live? We've seen all these heads-up challenges take place online. Will we see this one live?
So that's a good question. I get asked all the time, why not just play this online? And I wanted something a little more pure, a little more in your face and sociable. Like I wanted to be able to look him in the eye and vice versa, and just see what you have. Let me see what you have, and I'll show you what I have. And the best man can win, Now that being said, there still is a fuckload of variance in this, especially in this format. So if I win, that doesn't mean that I'm better than Victor. Mm-hmm. If he wins, that doesn't mean he's better than me, right? But it's going to be a big game, and it's going to be a battle.
A little no gamble, no future, if you will, MJ. You guys are just firing.
I want to fire, and I was playing Timofey and his partner versus me and my partner, 1K, 2K, tag team version of Heads Up. That match didn't go so well for us. We got 2-outed on the river for a big pot. And, we're going to be playing again come June when he comes to Vegas. I have a match that I set up with Dan Smith, 500, 1,000, $1 million minimum loss buy-in. I have a big Heads Up match with Ike Haxton, 500, 1,000. The terms on that aren't really set yet, but it's going to be a big match.
Everyone out there in the chat, and MJ, I know you and I have spoke about this. You guys can bet your ass we're going to try and get these matches on PokerGO, especially this one against Victor. $3 million each, 1K, 2K, no limit cash. I mean, this is as sweet as it gets, really. MJ, you mentioned wanting to see Victor eye to eye, sort of. Let me see what you've got. You see what I've got. That brings me back to a man named Phil Hellmuth. That brings me back to reading ability and his so-called white magic. What are your thoughts on reading ability? Is that something that you sort of, do you believe in that?
So, Hanks, let's start out with, it is 2021. Multicolored magic, please. It's more appropriate. And as far as reading ability is concerned, of course, humans give off a lot. Like, an incredible amount of information is given off just with body language. If you don't believe in that, sucks for you. I mean, it's scientifically proven, right? So, yeah, Phil Hellmuth has some skill in that arena. Absolutely. But so does Daniel, right? Like, let's not forget that Daniel, when I was coming up in poker, was known as the end-all, be-all hand reader and body language expert. He's someone that I looked up to when I was coming up in the game, right? So this is going to be exploitative versus GTO. That's what this is going to be. He's not going to get many live reads on Daniel. Daniel's going to get some on Phil. Phil's going to get some on Daniel. But this isn't going to be a live read match. This is going to be pure exploitative and someone trying to execute fundamental theory with some exploits.
We're going to test your reading ability coming up here in a couple minutes. So with all of that said about High Stakes Duel 2, Negronu versus Hellmuth, could you set a line for us? Because again, this is a sit and go. If variance was involved over a 25,000 hands challenge, it is certainly involved in a sit and go that lasts a couple of hours. So how would you set the line for this High Stakes Duel 2?
I think Daniel's a favorite.
Okay.
I think Daniel's a favorite because he's becoming closer and closer to theoretically sound. Again, there's a ton of variance in this format. It is a sit and go. Phil does have a great record in sit and goes. And so I think that Daniel's going to be a favorite. Now, that's not saying that Phil can't win. Of course he can win. Phil has a unique ability to lure players into playing his game. Mm-hmm. Unlike most other poker players, he has this unique ability that he can do that. And when I hear him talk about this white magic, that's what his white magic is. It isn't his live reads. It isn't that shit, right? That's pattern recognition. His white magic is goading his opponents to play a game that is perfectly designed for him to win. And to me, that's always what white magic should have been.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Now, let's stay with Phil Hellmuth because it's come to our attention via this show's comments where apparently you're in a text group that is titled, and I quote, Fuck Polk, where Hellmuth allegedly told you that Daniel, there it is, we got a shot of it right here. Hellmuth allegedly told you that Daniel would be raising 100% of buttons, and I believe this is your response, is that you never told that to Hellmuth. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about this relationship with Phil?
Sure. I mean, absolutely, unequivocally, I did not say that. Phil could be misunderstanding or there could be some miscommunication. Phil and I did speak on the phone. And when we did speak on the phone, we were talking about the tag team match that me and Bill Perkins challenged Antonio Sfondiari and Phil Hellmuth. And they pounded their chest and we'll do it. Okay, well, we're in, let's go. And, the match fell through. And when I talked to Phil on the phone, we were negotiating terms. And I got to give this to Phil, honestly. If you ever need anybody to negotiate terms via heads-up matches, or anything in poker, get fucking Phil Hellmuth to negotiate for you. He's a fucking genius when it comes to negotiations. He has the answers. He knows the BATNAs. He has it all. And so I've done a lot of negotiating myself. And so we were kind of battling back and forth. And I did lose that negotiation against him. He got what he wanted. I mean, I had selfish reasons to lose because I wanted the match, right? But that's when we were talking about heads up, no limit, hold'em. I never mentioned anything to him about Daniel raising 100% of buttons. I never talked to anybody about Daniel's and our strategy. That's just pure negative free roll. Why would I ever do that?
Right. So have you talked, though, at the very least, basic concepts with Phil? Because his whole point last week was, Daniel, I talked with your coaches, and we're very aligned on the concepts, while also saying, Daniel, I don't believe you had the correct strategy. So that something is missing in that.
Yeah, I'm gonna really tell you exactly what happened.
Okay.
And before I do want to preface it with, Phil Hellmuth has been an absolute sweetheart to me and my partner Matt and Hybrid Poker for the last 2.5 years. He has said nothing but wonderful things about us. And from the bottom of my heart, Phil, if you're listening, thank you, man. Thank you very much. It means a lot. But this is exactly what happened. Me and Matt were at the Bicycle Casino. They gave us an office to work at because we were commentating, but we were still working on our business at the time. And they said, hey, since you guys are working here, you guys can just work at a back office. Thank you very much. The bike, cool, appreciate it. So we're working, and it was like 2 a.m, some random Wednesday. It was, I guess, a WPT tournament was there. And I walk outside to take a breather. And Phil Hellmuth is walking by himself to the cafeteria. So I walk back in the office. I tell my partner, I said, Matt, let's go talk to Phil. Let's show him what we have. Let's talk to him. He can definitely use this information. You know, it might be good for both of us. Well, let's just see. So me and Matt walk up to him. He's walking to the cafeteria. We walk up to him. We said, Phil, can we have 5 minutes of your time? We want to show you and kind of talk to you about what we have. I think you'd find it quite interesting. So he says, sure, son. And he doesn't know who I am at this point. No one does, right? And he doesn't know my partner either. But he looks at me and goes, sure, son. Let me order really quick and I'll get back to you. So me and my partner are sitting there like fools, right? And quasi fans, while he's ordering his, peanut egg rolls or whatever. And he comes back to us 5 minutes later. He sits his food down and he goes, I have 5 minutes for you. I go, okay, Phil, this is what we have. This is what we're doing. This is how we plan to execute it. These are all the reasons that we're different from all the other companies, etc. And I can quote him, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, you know what? I absolutely love what you're saying. I love what you have. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because of how awesome what you're telling me is. But it's not for me. I don't need it. I'm already at the top. This would be good for someone like Daniel. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send over my agent, and I'm going to have him kick the tires and do the due diligence to make sure that this is real and legit and scientifically quantifiable and proven and mathematically sound. And I said, okay, you got it, Phil. Thank you for your time. The next day, his agent flies out to Los Angeles. We're in the middle of a Friday, or I think it was a Thursday big game or something, and we're both commentating. And the agent shows up and texts me and says, I'm outside. I leave the booth. We talk to him. I talked to him for an hour and a half. I haven't slept in 36 hours at the time. And we talked to him, and he goes, okay, let's test all the math. If it's legit, I want you to meet Daniel. Turned out everything was legit. It was exactly what we said it was. And within a week, we're in Vegas now meeting Daniel Negreanu for the first time. And I can go on about this. I don't want to bore you guys.
No, it's just fascinating, man. Keep going. Yeah.
So we go to the hotel. They paid for it and everything. And this is years ago. So like we're still starry-eyed and not jaded, and like we're like sky's the limit at the time, right? And so we get to the RM. I can't sleep at all. I don't sleep the entire night. I'm nervous. I'm excited. My partner the same. And the next day comes, and we meet up, and we drive over to Daniel's house, and we have to go through the gate, and I have to call him, and he has to accept us in. And so we go, we park out in front of his house, and me and my partner get out of the car. It's like 110 degrees or whatever. We get out of the car and we sit on the curb, and we were like, this is it, man. Like, this is career making or career breaking. Like, we need to be able to communicate in a way that he understands this, that won't overload him or confuse him, but also communicate in a way where he sees the value and how he can apply it, right? Because there's subjective ideas and objective truths, right? And knowing the difference between the two and how to teach somebody, like there's a myriad of different barriers to entry to get into solver work and GTO, and understanding the differences of when to use GTO, when to use exploitative, and why they're different and how they're different. Because years ago it was GTO versus exploitative, and me and my partner, we kind of laughed at that. We were like, no, that's not correct. This is why we're actually called hybrid poker. You need to be able to execute both, right? So like if you play just purely GTO against a random opponent at your 5100 game at a casino where you live, like what GTO is going to do, yeah, you're going to be balanced across the board, but you're also going to forgive your opponent's mistakes. And if you play exploitatively, you now can be counter exploited, and you're not balanced, and they can easily make adjustments to just fuck you. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Sorry, I digressed there. We're standing in front of Daniel Negreanu's house, and we're sitting on the curb, and we were like, this is it. Like, this is what we've been working for. And we go into the meeting, and we kill it. I mean, we just kill it. He fucking knew it. Daniel is so much sharper than people give him credit for. It's unreal. Like, I thought we were going to walk into this old dusty Regs house, and he wasn't going to understand. He's not going to know what a range is, and he's not going to know that what your hand does derives from your range, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And to be fair, he didn't know that much about it, but he learned so fucking quickly. It was unreal. And then we signed with, and then we closed that deal. We worked with him. We signed with the agent ourselves. And then we started working with a whole bunch of high-profile clients, all of which were like, we're signing NDAs. No one can know you exist. We don't want anybody else to have information. Like, we just want you guys for ourselves. And what we found was we were getting pulled in so many directions of like, no, come with us. No, come with us. And everyone was saying the same. Stay private, stay quiet, keep your head down, play the private games and crush them, but don't go public. And this is kind of why I keep getting asked the question, who the fuck are you? Where have you been? And so that's why. And then from there we signed with Bill Perkins. And then Bill Perkins was like, I don't want you working with fucking anybody. I'll pay for you not to coach other people. And, so then we worked out our deals, and we did what we did.
Let me ask you there, MJ, about Bill Perkins, because, this is I think it's pretty public, right? Everyone just assumes that Perky is the big fish you want in the game. Has his game changed over the last, year or however long you've been working with him? How do you see Perkins right now?
So the way I talk about Perkins is this. Bill Perkins is going to do Bill Perkins things. He is by far, not even close, love you, Perk, the stone cold worst student I've ever seen in my entire life. I ask him, I'm not kidding, I ask him monthly, how the fuck did you become so rich? Like, he is a specialist. Like, with the shit he's good at, it is unreal to see the way his brain works. It is so impressive. And then when it comes to poker, Bill Perkins is the kind of guy that wants the information. He wants to know the why. Why does the solver do X? Why does range construction matter? Why does your range want to do execute this frequency on this texture and not this one, etc.? He wants to know why, but he doesn't have a care to really execute it in game at game speed. So Bill Perkins is one of the worst students. But I will say this: since he's taken on his challenge with Landon, who is gonna be a fucking killer. Maybe not as much now, but later on in his future, he's gonna be a fucking murderer. The kid is in the lab as much as any other elite reg. And he's young. He's gonna retain more information. He's gonna learn faster. He's gonna be able to execute at a higher level much faster than us older regs, trying to keep up, right? So like him and his generation and the generation before, like the kind of poker that was played in 2006, we laugh at that now. And the kind of poker that's being played now, Landon and the generation after that, they're going to laugh at this. Because at the end of the day, humans cannot play as good as computers. That's it. Anyone that says that they do or they can is full of fucking shit. So back to Bill Perkins. We have worked more with him in the past 4 weeks than we did for a year and a half on his fucking ring game. Now, I also will add this. When Bill first came to us, I honestly don't know if there was a worse poker player in the history of poker. I'm not sure that there is. Like, I guess maybe there was one or two guys, but Bill's at the top of that fucking list. And the things he did pick up and wanted to retain and wanted to execute, he did it so well. He lost 95% less. He became a winner in his private games. And that's all he gave a fuck about. You think Bill Perkins cares about 100K high rollers and, 100, 200 online? No. He's doing that because he's fucking bored. Like, I've literally watched him lose $400,000, laugh about it, talk to him the next day, and he forgot it even fucking happened. Didn't even know it happened. Like, so when it speaks volumes of like where his interest is in regards to this game. There was a time where I had 170,000 of Perkins money, and I said, "Yo, I have money for you." He goes, "What money?" I go, what do you mean, dude? I have this money for you. He goes, I don't know. Put it over there. That's just Perkins. He's a space cadet genius.
How do you like his odds against Landon? I mean, Landon's giving him a ton of big blinds, right? He's essentially going to be starting.
Yeah, it's funny. I have mixed feelings about what Landon did. I obviously don't like that he gave him 9 BBs per 100 for selfish reasons, because you're kind of setting a precedent for businessmen and professionals, right? Like 9 big blinds, it's fucking atrocious. It is going to be it's going to be such a big mountain for Landon to climb over that. Not impossible, but it's going to be hard, and I think Bill Perkins has, a chance if he works harder and works more. We still have 3 months, I believe, until the matches. And when Bill Perkins feels like he wants to practice, we will be here. And when he wants to study, we'll be here, right? And he's also using our software that we were talking about for Heads Up. And I play him regularly to spar with him and get hands and start breaking down his game tree and start teaching him, what everything does across the board, and like what are the fundamentals and heuristics. Like, what are the 101 rules that we don't want to break for Heads Up, No Limit Hold'em? And now he's moved past the 101 entry level information, and now he's getting into much deeper things, like range construction, frequencies, and textures, and he's misapplying some concepts, but he's getting better. He's progressing. So I think that Landon is still a small favorite. I think it's small, though. I don't know how much Landon is in the lab with Heads Up. I know he's working with someone whom I really respect. But I don't know how often, and I know that I watched Landon say that he wants to get back into chess, and he's playing full ring, and he's playing tournaments. So I don't know how much he's in the lab. If he's in the lab as much as everyone thinks he is, he's going to be a small favorite for sure.
All right, and again, that is Landon Tice versus Bill Perkins. That challenge coming up, just one of the many that we look forward to. MJ, before we let you go, and we've already kept you way over, and we greatly appreciate your time, how about some trivia questions for you, some trivia questions for the chat, some trivia questions for Brent Hanks?
Let's get it.
As well. Let's do it. We have 2 written questions for you, 2 video questions for you. Let's start. We don't need to hit the bell or buzzer yet because we haven't asked a question. Producer John, let's start with one of the written questions. Let's just ease our way into trivia, and here is our first question for all of you, and make sure to answer in the chat. On November 21st, 2009, Patrick Antonius won a $1.2 million pot. That was the largest online hand ever in a game of Heads Up Pot Limit Omaha. Which legendary player did he beat in that pot? Was it Phil Ivey? Was it Daniel Negreanu? Was it Victor Blom? Or was it Tom Dwan? Let us know in the chat, A, B, C, or D. Brent, you let us know in a minute. MJ, to you first.
C, Victor Blom.
C, Victor Blom.
It's a
Brent?
confident answer. I'm going with Isildur, Victor Blom.
Yeah, and those matchups were just absolutely legendary back in 2009. Just a guess that most of the chat is going to weigh in with C. We'll let it play out. There's a little bit of a delay. Jason going with D. You know what? It's going to be mostly C. Yeah. Hit the bell.
Everyone
one more time.
knows.
Hit the
Everyone
bell one more
knows.
time.
It's Victor
Christian
Blum.
says C,
That's
David
the
says
easy
D.
one.
Yep. There we go. Okay, now let's ramp it up as far as difficulty is concerned. Let's go with the one more written question. This will test MJ's knowledge of perhaps a tournament that he's played, that he's been a part of. So let's show you that question, as most people in the chat were weighing in with C. MJ, that's you. You pocketed a cool $699,364 for finishing in 3rd place in the 2019 WSOP 25K PLO event. How much more money did Steven Chidwick take home for winning the event?
D. Fucking D.
Just has the payouts ingrained
a little
in his
bitter,
mind.
huh? Hey, what are your thoughts on, we're talking about Chidwick. I mean, you like him? You think he's a good player?
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
Really?
He's actually the one that busted me out at the tournament.
Right.
He's a murderer. Simple as that.
Well, I would advise you.
I'm gonna go D.
You were so confident.
I'm gonna go D on this one.
Go D. Let's see what the chat has to say. Just guessing after that answer. Yeah, David weighing in with D and D. Yeah, we can go ahead. Show the correct answer. It's actually B.
It's B.
$919,053.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. How much more money did the event winner? Oh, how much more?
God
okay.
damn it, MJ! He made me miss it because
That's what happened here.
we blew it. We totally blew it.
Oh, that was a pretty
Let's
good
get
one.
the video
A little
questions
trick question.
going.
All right.
I'm all steamed up now.
Let's go video question number 1. We talked so much about Negronu versus Hellmuth. Let's check out a hand that they played against each other.
Usually if you have a talent edge, you actually try to play less risky because you think in your mind, well, I'm going to be able to make this up later. I don't want to get into a coin flip or something like that.
What hand does Justin Bonomo have?
And top pair for Garrett.
Yeah, but no. Top and bottom
top two. I'm sorry. Yeah, queen's up.
Just write it right in there.
And so Justin obviously has multiple options here. This is a fine play. I think you'd see a lot of players check raise as well.
Deuce of spades. 100,000.
And Justin has options here again because, and he's looking at the clock again, so. And it's funny how quickly he clearly had a very quick decision about, I know exactly what my 2 plans are or 3 plans are, and I'm going to look at the clock and see.
Justin's going to reach.
Right.
300,000, almost a pot-sized bet. Probably the worst card that Garrett's can wish for on the river.
There we go, Lon.
Okay. All right.
What was the pre-flop action?
Pre-flop, I believe it was just Garrett's raised on the button and Bonomo defended.
Okay. So he's not going to have ace queen. He can have king nine of hearts. He can have 4 5 of clubs. Unlikely for them to say he's going to check raise with ace 6 of spades. As far as the commentator is concerned, they're not thinking like that back then. So I think we're going to nail it down to king nine of hearts or 4 5 of clubs. What size do you lead on the
300,000 on the river?
Into what?
Into 380. Into what was 380 at the time, I think.
Okay.
If you get this wrong, by the way, that means that hybrid is probably going to fail.
I'm going to quit the company right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 4 5. It's just such a bad fucking lead. I'm going to go with some weird ace 6 of spades bullshit.
Weird ace 6 of spades, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brent?
So far I was going with MJ in every pick, but then he led me astray on the last one. I agree with his entire analysis. I'm going to lock in king nine of hearts, though.
The king nine.
I think he's going to. He's just bluffing. He misses flush draw. It's a perfect river.
It makes sense for sure. It's actually more likely than ace 6 of spades, actually.
Yeah, I see the chat coming in here. A lot of 5-4s, king nine. Someone, Fred, 6-4 and 7-6 aren't even a choice, Fred.
Fred, you're probably wrong.
Come on, Fred.
That one. Eugene,
you don't have it right.
King nine.
Can I change my answer? I'm going with Fred.
Well, you're going with Fred. It's not even a choice. You want Fred's answer?
Eugene has the king nine of hearts. Brent has the king nine of hearts. Let's go ahead and see
All right.
what the correct answer is.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. The king nine of hearts. You must have seen this or something.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful. There it is. The king nine of hearts. All right, now what do you say? We get to it. Negronu versus Hellmuth. MJ, take a look at this one. We're looking for what Phil has. The ace king, the jack 10 of spades. 5-4 clubs are pocket sevens.
Does Hellmuth ever bluff in these spots? Ever?
The answer is no.
Bet 70K, Negronu check calls. Trips for Negronu. Is it good?
Oh my god. All right, we can take out 4 or 5 clubs and we can take out jack 10 of spades. Take that out immediately right now.
How
Rip them
come?
up,
Why?
take
Why
them
are we
out,
removing those?
Light them on fire. Take them out. Ace, king, pocket sevens. Keep playing, please.
Yeah, let's keep going. Can we play?
It's got to be sevens. Daniel has king nine. It has to be sevens.
Just removal of kings. That's why you're going sevens. Why are you removing jack 10 of spades and 5-4 clubs, by the way?
There's reasons. There's reasons.
So we can't
reasons.
reveal
That's
that.
fair.
All
That's
that.
fair. That's fair.
Is this part of the
High
tape
Stakes
you
Duel,
guys are
too.
studying where for the matchup?
Yeah, I mean, there's reasons. I don't think he's going to have ace king here based on what Daniel has. It has to be sevens. I would make a significant wager here.
Jeff, can you show me physically what it is that Phil Hellmuth does every time he has a value hand in these spots on the river?
Well,
Can
we
you
saw
show me?
it. We saw it with that. Spoiler alert, as far as the answer goes, and then we also saw it with the Queen 10 on High Stakes Poker, where he flopped the Stone Cold Nuts against Doug Polk, just the Kerner. Yeah.
And all the chips, by the way, all the money. Every time he does this, with all the money, it's like he's always got it.
Most
Show
people
me.
in the chat say sevens.
Okay, all right. Everyone, I'm going sevens.
Okay,
I'm going
okay,
sevens.
you guys are
Clearly,
going
I'm going with
sevens.
MJ. But find me a hand, anybody, and I challenge you guys out there in the chat. Find me a hand where Hellmuth does this, okay, and he moves in on the river with a bluff. Find one for me. You can't.
He's definitely going to do it for High Stakes Duel, too.
You can't.
That's gonna
You
throw
can't find it
everybody
for
off.
me.
It's
I'm
gonna
just
get
telling
in
you.
their head.
Look for
All
it.
right,
There's a lot of footage.
Let's see how this hand plays out.
Hold on, Brent. What's your choice?
Sevens.
Oh, I don't think so, Daniel. I don't think so. Come on, Daniel.
Hellmuth left him 5,000 chips, by the way, just for fun.
That was quite
there,
nice.
There are two things that I'd like to cover before I head out of here. And
Sure.
then you guys
Please. Yeah, please.
One is, if you're interested in hybrid poker at all, you can go to hybridpoker.com. You can sign up, and you can start to see what we're about, and we will keep everything updated until we release in about 6 months, approximately. All the back end stuff is done. We're just working on the front end, the UI, UX, and getting it all bright and shiny for you guys. And then secondly, you guys talked about call outs and all that stuff. I'm not much to call specific people out, but I will, for one person, and really one person only, I want to play Phil Ivey.
Wow.
I would drop every match that I had, excluding Victor, because we're playing on PokerGO and all that stuff, but I would drop every single match that I had, and I would play him live as big as he wants, heads up, for as long as he wants. I respect him. This is not me disrespecting him.
Mm-hmm.
He is definitely one of the greats of all time, especially in the live arena. And I would like to make that happen. Now, I understand I'm still a nobody. I'm still, people are just discovering who I am and who we are. But if he wants it, I am here. And we can start in a week. We can start in 2 weeks. I'm here.
So you're just straight up calling out Phil Ivey. You want to play ball. In
a respectful way, yeah, I do. I want to play ball with him more than I've wanted to play anyway.
Can I ask you why Ivey?
Like I said, I consider him to be one of the greats. I think that in heads up, I'm going to have an edge. Obviously, I'm going to be better than him. That's not to say that he's not good. I'm sure he's great, and exploitatively, he's one of the best. Yeah, it's hands down. He's one of the best exploitatively, and I want to test it.
Wow.
Sounds great to me. Sign us up for that. You get in touch with Ivy.
You
set this up, and we make it happen, MJ versus Ivy. MJ, we greatly thank you for the time. Thanks so much for jumping on with us today. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That was great, man. Thank you so
awesome.
much.
There he goes,
yeah.
MJ Gonzalez, the co-founder of Hybrid Poker, also Daniel Negreanu's coach.
Dude,
that was fantastic. Some of the stories he told were just exceptional, I thought.
And how strong is that to end the show? He's been sitting on that the entire time, where he just wants to call out Ivy to play him. I mean, I don't know what you think. Ivy would accept it.
I feel Ivy does not strike me as the type to back down from challenges.
I don't know, man. I don't know why he would, because what does Ivy have to gain out of that, right? You're going to get beat by this kid that's Negronu's coach.
Maybe he doesn't
he's
think
like
he'll get
the
beat.
next sort of, in his mind, he's the next Tom Dwan that's on the way up. Clearly, everyone knows MJ's really good.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I don't know. Why would Ivy accept it? I guess we'll find out.
I think Phil Ivey would accept that challenge, and I greatly look forward to MJ meeting Limitless, both of them with $3 million in front of them, playing 1K, 2K. I mean, that is absolutely absurd. All right, but let us get back to the matter at hand. That would be High Stakes Duel 2. Daniel Negreanu versus Phil Hellmuth. Let us hear from Maria Ho, our break desk colleague. What does Maria have to say about this upcoming matchup?
Hey guys, it's Maria Ho. Now, there is so much hype surrounding this upcoming high stakes duel between Daniel and Phil, and I just had to chime in. Obviously, I've been in the poker world now for over 15 years, and I gotta say, I have mad respect for both poker players. I think that both Daniel and Phil have definitely left their mark on poker. They are two of the biggest names in the game, and this is going to be one for the ages for sure. And as far as who I would give the edge to, I mean, Daniel did just come off of an insane heads-up challenge against Doug Polk. And so I think he's a little bit fresher. He's really been working on his heads-up game. And I do have to give the edge to him. Don't be so quick to count Phil out, though. If you guys watched the very first heads-up duel between Phil and Antonio, not only were you probably really entertained, but you might have been surprised to see Phil beat Antonio. And I think that a lot of people underestimate him, but one thing that Phil has been able to prove time and time again is that he is not one to be underestimated. And he is willing to pull things out of his bag of tricks that people might not expect. And so I think going into this heads-up match, I feel like it might be one of those things where people might overlook Phil's abilities a little bit, and he's gonna come out and surprise everyone. I think the reason why so many people, myself included, are so interested in watching this heads-up match is because these are the two most iconic players of all time, real heavyweights of the game, just taking it to the felt. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of pride at stake. There's a lot of ego at stake. There's always been this little bit of friendly, not so friendly banter back and forth between the two of them. And this is definitely one way to settle the score.
Jeff,
Maria.
yeah, here's
Maria.
the thing. Here's the thing. The only thing that Hellmuth is pulling out of a bag is a juicy cheeseburger and Sour Patch Kids. We saw that against Antonio. That's where I'm going. He's not pulling out a bag of tricks.
I just want to let Maria said Daniel has the edge, but don't count Phil out. We are not going to give you credit, Maria.
Middle.
No matter
She's
who
going
wins,
right down the middle.
we are not going to
She
give
didn't
you
pick one.
credit
Doesn't
for
count.
that one.
Doesn't
We're going to
count.
say it does not count. It does not count. But if you want to tweet a pick, we'll count that one. All right, it's our weekly check-in with cousin Kristen. That's your cousin.
It's my cousin, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
You
What's up, guys? Reporting in for Kristen's KO Pick of the Week as April O'Neil. So I don't have any picks for you this week, so I decided that I would maybe take you on a little behind-the-scenes look at a photo shoot of mine, since content creation is my job and I dress up as other people for a living.
Sit down.
This is what I do.
Doing anything.
So stay tuned if you want to check that out.
Love pizza. Love pizza.
And we're gonna stop that right there because that goes into my OnlyFans exclusive content, and maybe not for this channel. But if you do want to see it, I do have an OnlyFans, Jeff. And yeah, so until next time, no gamble, no future.
Okay, there you go, Jeff.
Just filling out my
what are you signing up for right now?
Yeah, just
act like you don't already have an account.
That was nice. You know, the goal when we brought Kristen on was to make some picks, and there were some picks, just not the gambling picks. I quite enjoyed that.
I'm sure you did, Jeff.
It was very nice. It's just
my
very
favorite
well
part
done.
was the pizza.
Yeah, that was my favorite part too.
Right.
Moving on, more friends on the go and more predictions for High Stakes Duel 2. Let's hear from YouTube superstar, YouTube sensation, Brad Owen. Roll it.
Tough to say who the better player is. You've got Phil Hellmuth, who's got 15 gold bracelets. He has a pretty clear case for being the all-time greatest Hold'em tournament player. And then you have Negronu, who's got 6 gold bracelets, who was #1 on the all-time money list at one point. He's still, I think, 3rd. So it just depends on which metric you want to go by. And any given day, I think that one could beat the other, essentially. Whether it's his antics at the poker table, his unorthodox style of play, or the fact that he doesn't play high rollers. For whatever reason, a lot of people don't give Phil credit as being one of the best in the world, and he absolutely is. Not only with the bracelets, but he beat Doug Polk heads up, he beat Jungle Man, he beat Esfandiari. Every time he steps into the heads-up arena, though, he's an underdog, and it's kind of shocking to me. I think Daniel's going to be coming into this match with a lot to prove. He just lost a very public match to Doug Polk. If he loses to Hellmuth, who is one of the few peers that Daniel has, that'll be 2 huge matches in a row that Daniel will have lost, and it's tough to stay in the conversation for being the best poker player when you're losing on these big stages. I think that's something that's important to Negronu to stay in that conversation. So he's going to be trying his best to take Phil down and win all the money. We've got 2 legends of the game, 2 of the most iconic poker players of all time. They're definitely on the Mount Rushmore. They're battling it out heads up. I think they have a lot of poker left to play in their careers, though, so I don't necessarily think that this is going to determine who's the most iconic of all time, but it's certainly going to determine who's the best right now at this format, and heads-up matches are the cool new phase. I think it's the most exciting thing that's going on in poker. Negronu's coming in as the favorite. On paper, he looks great. He's been studying a ton. He got a lot of rust off with the Doug Polk match, and he improved his game significantly from that match. But Hellmuth does some crazy things. I think his antics can throw people for a loop, and people just aren't used to his style of play. So it should be interesting. I think that he's going to actually win. He comes in as an underdog all the time and finds ways to surprise people and come out with victories. I believe that that's what's going to happen here. This should be a super interesting match to watch. We have 2 legends battling it out against each other. For Negronu to win, I think it's important that he sticks to the game plan, that he keeps a level head, that he doesn't let Phil's antics or unorthodox style of play affect him too much, and I think that's a little bit easier said than done. Phil, he's going to be limping a lot of buttons, is what he said, so it's possible that that strategy doesn't work out, and he's going to have to make some adjustments, but he is going to be coming after Negronu at different angles than Doug came after Negronu with, so it's possible that that throws Negronu for a loop and, benefits Phil. He's regularly the underdog, yet still somehow finds ways to win, and I'm excited to watch.
All right, so Brad thinks a little disrespect being thrown Hellmuth's way.
Yeah, out of all that, I'm not surprised Brad went with Hellmuth. It is sort of a quicker format, right? You're not playing 25,000 hands. You're going to play for about 3-4 hours at 30-minute levels, so Hellmuth doesn't have quite the disadvantage that many people think. The greater point, though, Jeff, is what I think he brought up in the middle, where Daniel just lost to Doug. Mm-hmm. Everyone watched. Daniel now is playing Phil Hellmuth. If he loses both of those matches, how does that affect the old legacy? You got to remember, your casual audience at home, folks that are tuning in that aren't hardcores like you and I and some of us that are on this show, we realize that there's a lot of variance, that it doesn't affect the legacy. But how about the casual fans at home? When they see 2 back-to-back losses, all of a sudden they start to assume, maybe Daniel Negreanu's not that great.
Okay, so perhaps this will have at least a very slight impact on legacy in the eyes of the general public. You follow Will Jaffe on Twitter, right?
I love Will Jaffe on Twitter. I love having tough conversations.
And with all this back and forth between Hellmuth and Negronu, it was time for another tough conversation from @Dankness3 on Twitter.
All right, guys, it's been a minute, but it's time for another tough one. And it's just time to have a tough conversation with anybody that has been defending Phil Hellmuth on Twitter for being good at playing against fish. Who isn't good at playing against fish? Anybody that plays poker is good at playing against fish. Am I right, little man? This guy would be good at playing against fish. Yeah. Just give him a hand. Get him in the game. He could be the best. I mean, come on with this argument. Just anybody who's a professional poker player is good at playing against fish by definition. Okay? Fish are good at playing against fish. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's like Nick Petrangelo, in a 100K, 250K, 5 million buy-in yen tournament, I take Nick Petrangelo. But, in the Colossus or a 1500, I'm taking Phil Hellmuth. What? No. Just stop.
That's a fair point. You do hear that all the time. Well, Hellmuth's better in the big field, low buy-in tournaments. But wouldn't just a really good player be really good.
I think I'd want Petrangelo.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the guy that wrote the course on how to play, tournaments.
We thank Will for that. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at Dankness3. One more Friends on the Go prediction. I'm really curious to hear what Matt Berkey has to say of Solve for Why fame. Give it to us, Berkey. What you got?
These high-stakes challenges are taking the poker world by storm, and it seems as though Negronu and Hellmuth are going to duke it out on the high-stakes duel. Who is the better player? I don't think this is much of a question. If you're talking about heads up and or the ability to navigate high stakes, I think it's very clearly Negronu. Hellmuth very well could be a better large field MTT player, but overall I think the nod goes to Daniel here. Do you feel Hellmuth is disrespected by the poker world? I feel probably 99.9% of all poker players are disrespected by the poker world.
Good point.
So, I don't think Hellmuth gets any sort of pass, but yeah, he takes a different approach to things. He, I think, does a great job of playing an imbalanced strategy that good players refuse to adjust to. And for that reason, he continues to win. So everybody who criticizes Hellmuth should understand that they are exactly the reason why this man continues to win. You keep calling him with bluff catchers on the river, and he keeps showing you the nuts. If Negronu loses to Hellmuth, how does this affect Negronu's legacy? It doesn't. They're playing a 300-hand heads-up sit-and-go, where the biggest edge either one of them could possess is maybe 5 to 8%. Maybe we're looking at like a 55-45 edge in this particular scenario.
I don't even know what that means.
So yeah, I don't think that this format favors Negronu at all. I think that it very much closes the skill gap, and it's pretty much a toss-up. Is it fair to say the winner of this matchup determines who the most iconic player of all time is? Is Phil Ivey playing? I don't think so. Prediction time. Who's going to win? I think Daniel is the slight favorite, but if you gave me the right price, I would be very, very happy to bet Hellmuth. I think anything greater than 1.5 to 1 is a no-brainer to bet the underdog, regardless of who it is. Finally, why are people interested in watching this particular matchup? I do think that they are two of the more iconic players in the industry. They've been around a very long time. They've both put up massive results throughout their career. And Daniel, well, actually both of them, I guess, are in the public space a lot for very different reasons. Daniel for recently taking on a next-gen guy in Polk in a blood match. And Hellmuth for, posting selfies with Draymond Green courtside. Very different personality types, very much add some color to this community. And also, both deserve their due respect for the road that they've paved along the way for all of us.
All right, there it is. Matt Berkey, thank you very much. High Stakes Duel, 1 week away.
That's it, baby.
Tuesday,
Next Tuesday.
March 16th on PokerGo. Phil Hellmuth versus Daniel Negreanu. It is High Stakes Duel 2.
By the way,
thank Berkey. Yeah,
we're going to have a hype show on Monday on PokerGo and on YouTube. Yeah, no, that's going to be called the Hype Show.
Oh.
That's going to be on Monday at 7:30 on PokerGo.
What about the weigh-in?
The weigh-in is going to also happen on Tuesday, right before the match. So we got Nick and Ali doing a little hype on Monday, and then we got the weigh-in with Nick Schulman where he's going to have both players and they go back and forth. No doubt fireworks there. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Jeff, 8 p.m. Eastern, only on PokerGo, High Stakes Duel 2. We're finally going to get it on.
Do you think Nick will text me for interview tips for Negronu and Hellmuth? I think we pulled off a remarkable interview.
I don't know.
Last
I think
week.
probably Nick will.
You think he'll text?
Might be able
Nick?
to figure it out. I
No,
don't.
hasn't
I've
texted
given
me
him
yet.
your number a few times.
Yeah, it's just the phone.
Yeah,
service
I mean, it's
thing.
probably just maybe check WhatsApp. It's probably there.
Nick and I are very good friends.
Yeah.
Well, shall we get to our cards? If there's not enough time, we don't have to do it.
I would really like to see my card, mainly my results, Jeff.
Well, remember on last week's show, we didn't
Yeah.
have time for the cards because we had the aforementioned Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth. Go back and watch that one, by the way. It is an absolute beauty. So we didn't get to submit our cards there. We did, though, on Twitter, at NGNS Show. That's why you have to follow us, because you want to fade me and my picks and follow the Hanksy Heater
is
and his
real,
picks. But before we
ladies
get
and
to the
gentlemen.
Hanksy Heater, let's look at my card first from last week. And this started off hot. UMass Slowell or Lowell, I don't even know how you say
You're
their
gonna
name.
read all
but
this?
they covered 5.5. No, I'm just going to go very quickly. Indiana, Purdue, I know you'll cover that. Stephen F. Austin, dominant win. And then we got to UFC. And UFC was not great. I actually did win the Tim Elliott one. I did lose the Batista one at -230. And Brent, you see those parlays there? Yeah, I lost those. I lost those parlays. And then the Piotr Jan against Sterling. I mean, if you guys had this, you know it. Jan was dominating in the 4th round.
Oh, was
It was
this-
an illegal knee.
Okay.
And then it was night to all your Piotr Jan.
Yeah, the old knee to the face when the guy's on the ground. You can't do that.
Yeah, cannot do that.
Can't do that.
Cannot do that. Cannot do that. On to Mr. Hanks and the Hanksy Heater. A
I
light
mean,
week
listen,
for you, but
folks,
you crushed.
this is, I had 3 picks. This was the Saturday Sizzler card. I went 3-0. All right, I'm adding 3 more units. They weren't even close. I know Jeff, for whatever reason, was
Ohio
on
State,
Indiana.
Illinois was pretty close.
Stop it. It was never a doubt. Never a doubt. That's 3-0. And I believe my grand total on the year. Producer John, do we have the grand total?
Yep,
there
there
it
it
is.
is. Oh,
there it is.
my.
Take a look at this, folks.
You have-
Fade Jeff, ride the Hanksy
You've
Heater.
created a 24-unit difference between the two of us in about a month's time.
That's about right.
That is remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the cards for this week, our conference tournament edition, as March Madness is heating up. And here we go, Brent. I do have Clemson to win the ACC tournament at 18-1.
Okay.
They'll win versus Miami. A coin flip game versus Georgia Tech. They avoid UNC, Florida State, Virginia Tech. They're all on the other side.
I do think
of
the
that
ACC is
ACC
pretty
bracket.
wide open.
I think so
I'm
too.
all
So
right
you
there.
take a team at 18-1.
I like it.
Speaking of wide open, how about Michigan State
Drawing
at
stone dead.
80-1 to win the Big Ten? They've proven they can beat anyone in the conference except for Iowa, but Iowa is on the other side of the bracket. Who knows what could happen there? Ole Miss at 20-1 because I read an article that said there was good value there. I'm like, all right, sounds good. I'll just click on Ole Miss. Colorado State to win the Mountain West. I've not watched a lot of Mountain West basketball, but I do know that San Diego State is good. They're on the other side of the bracket, and then Nevada is good. They're on the other side of the bracket. And, of course, USC, Brent, to win the Pac-12. Very unbiased opinion. #fight on.
Believe it or not, as we pull up my card, Jeff, I share USC with you. You can see it. I love the Pac-12.
That makes
I
you
actually
feel good.
leaned them because of you. I've been watching a couple of games because of you. I believe it's Mobley.
Yeah,
I love
Evan
this
Mobley.
kid. I love Evan Mobley. I got UConn in the Big East. They have been unstoppable over the last. They're 12-1 over the last 13 games. Texas 8-1. That's my shocker in the Big 12.
Oh, okay.
I love what Shaka Smart has got going on with Texas. I know Baylor looks hot right now, but I'm going to avoid these guys altogether. Big 10. You got Michigan State. I'm going to boil her up. I'm going with Purdue.
You've liked them all year.
I have loved Purdue all year, and they're just getting better and better and better. Jaden Ivey, if you don't know that kid's name, number 23 for Purdue. He's a freshman. This kid is electric. He's one of the best players in the country. I think he's going to make a real difference, not only in the Big Ten tournament, but in the NCAA tournament. I love Purdue heading to the Sweet 16. And, of course, I got to go here. The championship game against VCU on Sunday, the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, my Bonnies right here, they're going to win the Atlantic 10 title. They're going to cut down the nets. They're already going to the big dance. They're going, baby. They got the slippers on. They're my Cinderella team. They're going to win the A10 title. Let's go, Bonnies.
Yeah, so no bias here, of course. So the A10 tournament played out, then clicked pause before Sunday's
Just so we
final
could make this
championship
video,
game.
Jeff.
Yep, exactly.
Just so we could get this in.
We'll let you know what line you can find on Twitter. He's at Buffalo Hanks. I'm at Jeff Platt. We are at NGNF Future. Brendan says, do you know anything at all about MMA, Jeff? Horrible picks. Yeah, not really. Nick says, Jeff, you're letting this guy beat you? Yes, but only by 24 units, you know.
Not bad.
I just need a Michigan State Big Ten tournament win, and then boom, I am back. As Nova says, Tom Izzo is the tournament king. That is a good point. I mean,
Tom
that's more
Izzo
overall
equals
NCAA
March,
tournament.
right? Like,
yeah,
you
that
think
much
March,
is true.
you think Tom Izzo.
That
And
much
that's,
is true.
Shout out to John Rothstein, of
How
course.
about we go D-Gen of the week now?
One time, baby.
How about we go D-Gen of the week? You guys might remember this from Video Poker.
Oh,
Just an
my
absolute jackpot for
God.
all of it. Flopped the Royal, as we like to say, using that Hold'em terminology. Boom. Nails the Royal, gets paid out on 10 lines. $1,250 a spin.
Jesus.
Won a cool $1 million. But, Brent, as you can see from the tweet, he's giving it all back.
Every single dollar
Giving
back.
it all
play.
back,
I mean, when
every
you're
penny.
betting over $1,000 a hand, that's not going to take too long.
It doesn't take too long to click, as we are very familiar with.
Absolute degenerate. I mean, this is hands down the degen of the week right here. Yeah.
You win a milli, and you give it all back, and you know that means now he's down, right?
I don't know. I mean, who is like Warren Buffett, the one in the casino? Who is this guy?
I don't know, but he's firing off at $12.50 a spin, and it is
good Lord.
It is going to be absolutely brutal, and that was absolutely brutal. That's a degen of the week, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Producer John says he's seen Brent Hanks hit a royal flush and then immediately give it all back, like probably
True
within
story.
the same session, probably within the hour.
Related to this guy.
Yep. Certainly two degenerates. All right, next week, big week coming up because, of course, it's March Madness. And we still have High Stakes Duel 2 coming up that night, the night of No Gamble, No Future. And, Brent, you'll love this. I opened up a couple Top Shot packs. Oh, getting into the mix. And perhaps we'll show you those next week. Does that sound
can't
good?
wait. I love all these NFT things that are going
You're a
on.
big
Whatever
NFT
that
guy,
stands
yeah.
for. No fucking, I don't know what it stands
no,
for. What
it's
does it
not.
stand for?
It's a non-fungible token, I
That's
believe.
right. That's what I was going to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
he'll get into the NFT mix
Yeah.
over this next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. We very much appreciate it. We remind you again, like and subscribe on YouTube. Go check out our Facebook page. Just search No Gamble, No Future. It's easy. You click like there, and boom, we're good to go. Thanks so much to our awesome crew. And again, thanks to you all for watching. We'll see you next week on No Gamble, No Future. One more time.